Hey there, I'm Wendy Bounds. I'm going to take a little advantage of the warm weather today. Welcome to Off Duty. We have a big show, big personalities. First up, we have Brad Goreski. He's back on Style. Eric Repair, he's here on Food. And Mr. Dan Neal out at the Geneva Auto Show. Let's go there right now. Did I just step in bird poop?
The 82nd Annual Geneva Auto Show had a best of times, worst of times feel to it. As for the best, the global car business is growing fast, driven by expansion in Asia and in the Americas, and European automakers are pouring it on for the 1%. But the climate in Europe is tough. Austerity is in the air, the euro looks shaky, and European car sales are way off. Fearing the coming turbulence, Euro car makers are trying to lock down strategic alliances for product development, R&D, and economies of scale. Fiat Chrysler, which is in the midst of what might be called existential platform sharing, in the sense that if they don't get it right, they won't survive, unveiled the Fiat 500L, a sort of mini Countryman based on the Fiat 500/Panda platform. The biggest shock was the massively unlovely Bentley SUV concept, which will likely share architecture with VW Group cars like the Porsche Panamera and even the forthcoming Lamborghini SUV. These are strange times indeed. For the Wall Street Journal, I'm Dan Neal in Geneva.
That Dan Neal, he is such a hot dog. He's always talking about all of those wild cars. But speaking of wild, what about the fashions we have been seeing on the runway this year? Thank you so much. It looks good. Anyway, the spaceman suits, what do you make of that? I don't know what to think. But Christina Binkley, she does our Fashion Confidential segment. She's going to tell us, and while she does, I'm going to go get some chips.
Models are out there to get attention. They want to get attention for a whole look. You know, what you're really selling is a jacket and a pair of pants. A designer, when they put something on the runway, is talking to a room full of people, and they need to be stimulated. They need to get a whole story. A designer has to do something like a Broadway show does, to just leap off the stage at the people who are watching. So the first thing you notice is this really tall, gargantuan model with a bizarre headpiece. You might do bizarre makeup that makes their eyes look very space-agey, and you might put insane shoes, any number of things that are done. These are all devices to create drama and get attention. When I started doing this job, the first runways that I attended, I couldn't stop looking at the models. And it was hard for me to sort of divorce each piece of clothing from all the other things that were in the outfit. But now I have a hard time sometimes seeing the whole look, because automatically my eye just goes to that blouse, that pair of pants. And then you say, oh, those pants flow beautifully. You start pulling away the things that create that sort of maybe exciting or maybe frightening picture, and start looking at the things that would work for you.
Got my chips. All right, now speaking of fashion, yesterday we had a celebrity stylist on to tell you all the man on the street tips he has. Today he's back, he's talking about his book. Find out who he is right now, and I'm gonna go find a place to eat.
Do you ever wonder how celebrities get the most fashionable looks on and off the red carpet? Well, many have their own personal stylist. I'm Kelsey Hubbard, and I'm here with one of them, celebrity stylist Brad Goreski. He also has a new book out, Born to be Brad, and he's here to give us all the inside tips on how you dress the celebrities so we can learn from it. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Thanks for being here.
Sure, thanks for having me.
I want to start out by just talking about your philosophy on fashion, because everyone has their own take. When you approach it, when you're either dressing a celebrity, yourself, when you look at fashion, what do you think? What is your philosophy on that?
Well, ever since I was a kid, fashion has always just been like fun for me. For me, it's really a way of expressing yourself on a daily basis. And I'm not one to get really stuck into a very distinct, set style. I think it's fun to experiment and play dress up every day. And I think we lose that element of dressing up the older that we get. When we're kids, we are always playing different characters, and I think for me in my own personal wardrobe and the way that I dress my clients every day, I'm like, who do you want to be? Like, who are you feeling right now? Are you feeling like Sophia Loren? Are you feeling like Marilyn Monroe? Are you feeling like Lady Gaga? Like, who is it that you want to be today? And I'll help you get to that place. So I feel like every morning when I wake up, I'm like, what do I want to do today? And I'm like, I don't know, polka dot socks and velvet shoes. Let's do it. Yeah. I've had this suit in my closet for 4 years. I was like, how could I change it up? And that's how, that's how I approach styling and fashion in general.
So when a celebrity asks you to style them for a certain event, how do you approach it? What's your ultimate goal when you see them walk down the red carpet? What are you hoping to achieve?
My ultimate goal is for my client to be walking to their car, for me to see them on the carpet and be able to tell from them that they love what they're wearing. Because you can really tell when somebody, it's a lot of pressure to walk out onto a carpet and stand in front of a wall of 150 photographers and be shot from every angle. And can you imagine not loving what you're wearing? I mean, that's not a good feeling. So that's number one for me, is that my client feels great. Number two is that I'm bringing them something special. I always ask and I search for, gowns that haven't been seen, or things that are special made, or custom pieces. It's always finding that thing that people have never seen before.
So we want to talk about some of the fashion tips that you have. Great tips for women in the book and men. So what should regular women who aren't walking the red carpet, perhaps are just going to work every day, how can they make their wardrobes work for them, but also change it up so they can add some fashionable pieces in there that can work for them in an everyday situation?
My personal advice is, I feel people get bogged down with I've got to change my entire wardrobe, and that's actually not realistic. It's not realistic for me to think that every year I'm going to get an entirely new wardrobe. I think finding ways that if it's going through the magazines and seeing what the editors are telling us the trends are, what resonates with you? Is it prints? Is it color? Do you feel like you have too much black in your wardrobe? Buy a beautiful bright day bag, buy a bright pair of ballet flats. Do something simple to kind of incorporate things into your wardrobe and take the pressure off of yourself to completely give yourself a makeover for the spring and summer season and then for the winter season, So I'm not a firm believer in overhauling everything. It's more looking in your closet at the things you're going to be wearing and then saying, I could use a few new belts, or, I'm loving this trend that's happening with chiffon and florals. I want to add a little romance into my wardrobe. So it's implementing those things slowly, but not feeling like you have to be a walking photo shoot every single day. I don't think that that's a realistic thing to try to tell people to do.
And have you ever had any big misses when you're celebrity styling? And what do you tell women who are afraid to take those chances and add in those little things for afraid of having a fashion fail?
Well, you have to have fashion fails in order to have fashion successes. And I think that that's kind of a rule of life too. It's like the things that in your, what seem like failures can ultimately be your biggest successes and where you learn the most about yourself or a situation. And through many of the photos in the book, and trust me, we had to edit them down. Yeah. There are a lot of them. I think
your style must have evolved from that.
Yeah, and you have to take those brave steps to go out into the world and be like, this is the way I want to present myself today. And some people will love it, and some people will not like it. But I think that those are ways of kind of building your fashion armor, and ways of going okay, that didn't work so well, but I had a fun night. And you know what? Leopard print doesn't look great on me, so I'm going to try zebra print the next time. So finding your style identity is really trial and error, and allowing yourself to fail, and also allowing yourself to have those shining moments. And when you have those shining moments, go, oh, okay, people love it when I wear a low back dress. Okay, maybe I have a beautiful back, maybe I have a beautiful clavicle. What are those areas you want to highlight? And see how people respond.
All right, well, thinking about tight-fitting clothes may not lead you to think about food, unless, of course, you're Homer Simpson over there. No. All right, well, nevertheless, we have some amazing seafood recipes from Chef Eric Ripert. Not hot dogs, but I think you guys are going to like it.
To many of us, cooking seafood is a mystery, especially when it comes to getting that perfect crispy finish. So I went to Chef Eric Ripert at the newly renovated lounge in Le Bernardin to find out how the experts do it.
Tell us about the inspiration of this lounge and what you hope people will come and enjoy.
The lounge is to come here and have a good time after work or going to the theater. What we want is some people to be very impromptu and at the last minute say, hey, why don't we have a cocktail at Le Bernardin? Or why don't we have a ceviche? Or maybe we can eat, and I don't have a jacket, and actually I didn't reserve, but maybe we can eat in the lounge.
Let's talk about the seafood, because that's what you're so well known for, and so intimidating, I think, to a lot of people to prepare sometimes. And when they come in here, let's taste a little bit of this. Tell us why you've chosen it, and how we can kind of try to get a little bit of it at home if we want to.
Yes. Well, this one is very simple. We have a beautiful scallop, and it's marinated with lime juice, lemon juice, some olive oil. Therefore, the lemon cooks the product. It's very refreshing. It's very light.
Yeah.
Here we have the gravlax. So the gravlax, what we do is we cure it with gin, and I'm going to put a bit of sauce here, mustard sauce, mustard and dill sauce. But the gravlax is cured for 4 days with
4 days?
4 days.
Oh, wow.
With gin, dill, and of course the influence comes from Scandinavia.
Yeah.
And then we have here right now we have the lobster, basically a roll, and it's lobster in a brioche with the truffle sauce. This is codfish, which is sautéed with pea shoots that are starting to be in season. One of my favorite dressing / sauce, soy ginger vinaigrette with extra virgin olive oil.
So is it a challenge to get the outside so crispy and the inside so white and flaky?
It is not a challenge, but you have to see it at least once. Well, you need a beautiful fillet of codfish, like this is cod, thick like that. It has to be dry. The pan has to be very, very hot. You season the fish at the last minute on both sides, and then you put the fish very delicately in a pan. You should hear that noise right away. The oil is very hot, almost smoking. And you let it basically cook until you start to see on the outside this kind of like a light blonde brown color. Sometimes you can, with the spatula, look underneath, see if it's getting colored. And then when you feel that you have a crust, you just flip the fish on the other side and let it cook until doneness. And we use usually a metal skewer through the flesh like that. You leave it a couple of seconds, and then you take it out. You put it on your hand like that, and it should be warm. If it's hot, it's overcooked. If it's cold, it's not cooked.
So what is the advice or some tips that you would give somebody if they're on their off-duty time and they're trying to cook a great piece of seafood? What do they need to know?
Well, they need to know that shopping is very important. Therefore, you have to recognize fresh fish from old fish. And then you have to know that you have to be careful because fish is very delicate. And you don't want to cook your fish too long or too much because you will make it dry and lose all the flavor. You want to keep the recipe simple and on the beginning maybe, and then as you progress, make more elaborate recipes with it. And I think this is a good beginning.
And just keep trying new things?
Of course.
All right, so we may not all be Eric Ripert, or even close for that matter, but that is why we have our weekly test kitchen segment showing you all the latest gadgets, and this week it is yogurt makers, nice and healthy. finally found a nice quiet place to eat right here in Times Square. And that is it for today's WSJ Off Duty. I hope you'll click above to subscribe. Please join me on Facebook and YouTube, and stay tuned right here for all of our lifestyle coverage, iPad 3 coverage, and the presidential election. And I hear we have some pretty hot hedge fund coverage too. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching Off Duty.